Hey, hope you're well. I've been working on your profile concept. I want to talk to you about the direction. I just want to talk to you about a possible direction and get your thoughts before I invest too heavily in going down this path. So, anytime I'm working with somebody and we're looking at what category or niche they're in, what I do is I go and do market research about that category or niche. I look at the category or niche itself and what's appealing to men, because remember our audience is male and we need to understand how they think about these things. And then secondly, what I do is I go into your geographical area and I check out what other people in that area are doing, what they're charging, not because we want to do the same as them, but just to get a bit of a sense of, firstly, is anybody doing this in that area? And if the answer is yes, that can give us confidence that it's already working. And you can look at this both ways. If the answer is no, sometimes it actually means that there's a significant opportunity to go in and dominate that space and be the only one. For example, I'm working with somebody in a kind of rural location at the moment where there is really not a lot of escorts and certainly no like high class ones. And so we're at least testing for her, trying to be the only high class escort in the area. And now we won't know until we do that test whether that's going to work. It could be the case that there are no high class escorts there for a reason because there's no market and that happens. Or it could be that, as we commonly do, people come into the industry in that location, they check out what everyone else is doing, it's all lower price points, and they just copy. And so they're all competing for the same thing. We could find that she puts herself in there at this higher price point, a totally different vibe, operates at a completely different level, and just dominates because there's just nobody else doing it. But we don't know till we do that test. So, anyway, bringing it back to you, what I've done is the same process I do with everybody. And I want to show you a bit of an example of the direction that we could go if we continue on in this curvy BBW marketing space. I'm going to send you this link and you can check this out for yourself. Firstly, when I'm looking at any category, it's really important to understand like why do clients or do men like that category? Like what is it about it that is attractive? Like what is it about the curvy woman that is attractive? And when you go on places like Reddit, I'll send you a few links because I found like plenty of threads. You'll find it's an anonymous platform, people will talk openly. Firstly, you hear repetitively the same things. And secondly, it's really fascinating to hear like what it is that they're attracted to. And basically that's market research. That's market research for us to go, okay, this is what's appealing about this particular thing. And then we can take that information and basically construct a profile for that exact audience, giving them exactly what they say they want from that experience. We market that, we advertise that, and therefore our work is kind of done for us, right? So I'm going to send you a couple of these links. Feel free to check them out if you're interested so that you understand where the clients are coming from. I will preface this by saying that remember that we're trying to sell, at the end of the day, a commercial experience. And I find this happened to me when I first started and I was researching, for example, why do married men see escorts? That's something that I spent a lot of time researching because I had a huge amount of clients that were married. And what I found was that one of the key reasons was that they didn't feel special and adored at home. And what was interesting about that was that I realized that it actually had nothing to do with me personally. And that could be a bit confronting at first, but honestly, if you take a few steps back, that's a far healthier place to be, is to realize that you're somebody providing a service. It's really not about you and yourself personally. Obviously, there's a level of investment, just like when I coach somebody, right? There's a level of personal investment that I make because I care about my clients. I want them to succeed in their escorting. I want to do a good job for them. But at the same time, I know that they're not there getting advice and mentorship from me because of how amazing I am. They're there because they're trying to satisfy a problem, an issue, a gap, a void that they have. And so really what I'm doing for them is it's really about them. So keep that in mind when you read these comments, is that try to disconnect yourself personally and keep in mind that we're looking at this as a way to like overall maximize income from the type of work that you want to be doing, which is the escort, not the massage. And so to do that, we need to understand clients who book curvy BBW escorts, what is it that attracts them to that experience? And understandably, it's a bit about the person, but it's about what they get out of the experience with the person. And that's the lens that you kind of want to look at this through. It's not about you personally, it's not about me, none of that. It's what is somebody, in this case a man, who is wanting this particular experience, like what does he get out of that? And you'll be really interested to see, and this is what I think I explained to you when we spoke, that it's a physical, it's an emotional desire. But the physical, because men are more visually and physically wired than women for various reasons, which we won't get into, it's an emotional desire, want, need that manifests in a physical way. Okay? And you'll get that when you read through this stuff, is that they talk about the physical nature of being with a curvy woman, but then they also go on to explain why that feels good emotionally. Like they go on to say, it makes me feel this way, it makes me feel like this. I like being with these sorts of people because they tend to be more like this, which makes me feel like this. Like it's all ultimately about what they need and what voids they have, which is exactly what you and I do ourselves when we go looking for any experience in any sphere. You know, you don't go and buy a black dress from a store because you just think that the person that made the dress is so amazing. You go because there's something about that black dress that fulfills something for you. And because that fulfills something for you, you're willing to exchange something you have, in this case money, to get that. And we're doing the exact same thing. So it can be difficult to separate that because what we're doing is not just like selling a dress, which is like a piece of fabric that we made with a sewing machine. You know, we're spending time intimately with somebody. We're putting photos of ourselves online for people to essentially look and then make a decision about whether they want to spend time with us. But I find that the people who are most successful in this industry are able to have that level of separation. And I emphasize it so much now because I know that that's something I struggled with for a long time at the beginning. And I say this to everybody, by the way, it's something that I couldn't separate like myself from the job. And it didn't really serve me because I lost focus on what the point of it was. Like I was there because I did enjoy the job, but I wanted to get something out of it, which was, you know, financial and non-financial, but largely financial. But I did want to give clients a really great experience. But to do that, I had to understand, what is the client actually here for? The client at the end of the day is not here to have to spend time with, insert like my real name here. They are here to get what their needs are satisfied by Isabel Fox. That is what they're there for. And so when I started to look at everything I was doing through that lens, not only did it become way clearer what to do to be successful, it also kept what I was doing at a distance from me emotionally in a healthy way, in that it wasn't the success that I had in the industry, the success or lack thereof was not about me individually as who I am as a person. It was really just about a service that I was providing to a customer who had a need that they wanted to satisfy, and I understood that need, and I was able and willing and happy to provide them with that service to fulfill that need. And as a result of that, I got a commercial outcome, so I got paid, and I also, for me, got to feel pride in being able to do well at my job, which was important to me, and also to give something back to people who really needed it. That's eventually where I ended up. And when I was able to view the job through that lens, the pressure was really off because I no longer tied up and wrapped up so much of my personal identity in the job. There was, you know, Isabel Fox doing her job to provide a valuable service to the world, I believed, and to get a financial outcome in return. That was the double whammy. I felt good about it emotionally, and I benefited from it financially. Then there was me, insert my real name, living my life and then using those funds to benefit me, live the lifestyle that I wanted, to help people that I cared about and loved. And I felt good that I was doing a job that I felt purposeful and passionate about. But I wasn't doing the job because the job had to make me feel good about myself individually. Like when I first got into the industry, I had a lot personally, and this is a bit personal, but I'll share it with you. I had a lot of self-esteem issues about men being attracted to me because when I was young, growing up, I was like the ugly duckling. You would have heard this in some of my videos by now. My best friend at school was the hottest girl in school. I had like really bad teeth. Men weren't into me. Like all the boys were always attracted to my friends and not me. You know, when you pair up at high school, and everybody becomes boyfriend, girlfriend, I was always left with the one guy that also didn't get picked by anybody, like the dud, because like that made me feel like, well, I'm the dud, and so we paired up, and I'd be with guys that I just wasn't really into because I felt like I couldn't get anything else. And then when I turned a corner and got into the industry, at first a lot of it was heavily to do with wanting to be desired in a way that I hadn't been desired before. And I didn't realize this at the time, but it was heavily personal for me. Like going at first to a brothel, if I didn't get booked, I would really feel unattractive and bad about myself because to me it felt like every guy that came in rejected me, just like at school. But when I adopted this new way of thinking, I was able to take a step back and realize, back then my name was Parlor, that I personally wasn't being rejected. It's just that wasn't what the client chose to satisfy their need, whatever that might be, and it's different for everybody, and it's always at its core emotional. It's not physical. It's just that men satisfy it often through physical things, just like when we go shopping. They do a physical thing to satisfy an emotional need. I eventually got to the point where I realized that they weren't rejecting me, the real me. It's just that that night wasn't the choice that they made to satisfy their need. They picked somebody else. It wasn't even that I wouldn't have been good at satisfying that need. It just meant that that night I wasn't the one that they selected. And when I saw it that way, it was way less personal. I didn't get upset about it. And of course, when I then took the next step of understanding what is it that they're actually trying to acquire, as opposed to, oh, do they pick me or not based on me, I became way better at getting the bookings because I was able to talk to them, interact with them in a way that basically just like delivered to them on a plate what they were looking for. And so once again, bringing it back to you, everything I'm doing with you here is we pick a niche, we pick a category based on various reasons, which we've already discussed, and then we look at what is the client base looking for when they go looking, when they select that niche. Like, what is it about that niche that satisfies them? When we understand that, we create a profile that is based on that, and getting them to book you is so easy. So I'll send you these links. I found a few people in Berlin doing this already. Don't worry about the rates for the moment. I'm going to send you these two links. I'd say that this girl, Bunny BBW, and I can't know how much work she's actually getting, obviously, but based on the comments and then looking at her ad, this looks to me like somebody who understands her market, who gets what a client who is looking for the niche that she's in is wanting to achieve, is wanting to experience. And I think she's done it in a relatively high class, elegant kind of way, which leads to the higher rate. So she's currently charging 400 euros an hour. I know that at 300 euros, you're struggling to get work. Now, I don't know how many bookings she's actually getting at this rate, but like 400, we can see that that's more than what you were at before. And I'm going to make a relatively educated guess that this girl gets a level of work. Because it looks to me like she gets her market. She's like marketing, like basically giving them their needs on a platter and therefore able to charge for that and get work. You know, at least we hope that that's what's happening. Can't know unless we contact her and she answers us honestly, blah, blah, blah. So I suggest you have a look at this. She also offers BDSM services. You don't have to do that. That's clearly something that she's willing to do, so fine. But if you check out all of her photos, the imagery really showcases the body type in the way that you hear clients in these threads, or they're not clients, but men, talking about what they like. And she's still done it in an elegant, tasteful way. So there's a big focus on the breasts, on the butt, on the curves. And you can see that in her photos, she's really capitalizing on that. There's this focus on like being able to grab onto things and, like grab on and like sink their hands into stuff. And you can see that in these images, right? You can see when you read this stuff and then you look at these photos, you'll see what I mean is that a guy who has that fantasy will look at this and they'll see all of those things that they're wanting. So I, like I said, would expect that this girl probably does quite well. That's a BDSM photo, so we can disregard that. So I want you to have a look at this and see, tell me what you think. Tell me if you're comfortable going in this direction. Because I think that if we're going to stick to this direction, this is the kind of imagery that we would be looking at doing. Obviously unique to you, and we'd put together a list of outfits. And like I said when we spoke, we can start with a selfie style profile. We don't have to do professional photos. Like you can get a lot of these photos taken yourself, and then we can get them edited to make them look to a high quality. So, but if you're for any reason not vibing this, then tell me and tell me why. And then it might be that we need to discuss a different approach, because everything that I've found really supports this angle. Like we can't make the market what it isn't, right? And so if for any reason you don't want to take this approach, and I don't mean like if there's just one photo and you're like, oh, I wouldn't do that photo, that's fine. I'm not talking about one-offs. I'm talking about the general vibe. So the general vibe here is the focus on the breasts, the butt, the body, like showcasing the body in certain ways where it really looks like there's like stuff to grab onto. And like I said, she's still done this in a tasteful way. So just want to run that past you. If you're on board, then I will go to the next step and I'll put together a selfie photo shoot plan for you. And then it will be up to you to go take those selfies. We'll check them out together. We'll pick the best ones. We'll edit them. I also recommend that you have little videos, like just short kind of boomerang style videos. There are guys in here who talk about like exactly what they'd like to see in those videos. So you'll probably get that when you read through it. But I can tell you exactly what I recommend to do. And so, yeah, that's really it. Let me know what you think about this. As always, for me, I'm most concerned about making sure that you get the result that you want and that you're happy and comfortable doing it that way. I'm not emotionally attached to what you decide to do. If you are not satisfied with this for any reason, no problem. Just be transparent. Tell me. We'll talk about another option and I'll do the best I can to help us get to where you want to go. Okay, that's it.